The mystery of Mahakumbh. Today's story is unique because it's connected to India's largest religious gathering, the Mahakumbh Mela. This incident happened to Ronak Tripathi, a 19-year-old boy who visited the 2012 Mahakumbh Mela in Allahabad, now Prayagraj, for the first time with his parents and elder brother Amit. Mahakumbh is considered a sacred event, and it is believed that experiencing it can change one's life. However, for Ronak, it was more of an adventure than a religious trip. His grandmother had told him numerous stories about hidden secrets of gods and demons at the Mahakumbh and how the waters of Sangam, the holy confluence, gain mystical powers during this time. A strange sensation in the holy water. Ronak, along with his family, went to take a dip in the sacred waters of Sangam. He saw people chanting mantras, and the air was filled with the fragrance of incense. But as soon as he submerged himself in the water, he felt an unusual warmth, as if the water around him was boiling. He immediately told his brother Amit about it, but Amit just laughed and said, "It's all in your imagination. Ronak, Sangam's water is always pure." However, Ronak couldn't shake off his uneasiness. Encounter with a mysterious sadhu. That evening, the family decided to explore the Grand Fair. The entire place was crowded with sages and saints, and huge stalls were set up everywhere. Suddenly, Ronak noticed a peculiar-looking sadhu, holy man, sitting in a corner. His face was tilted toward the sky, his eyes were milky white, and his lips were moving as if chanting an unknown mantra. Ronak felt an irresistible pull toward him and said to Amit, "Let's check out what this Baba is doing." Amit warned him, "Don't disturb him, he's in deep meditation." But Ronak ignored Amit's advice and approached the sadhu. Ronak called out to him a few times, but the sadhu didn't respond. As a prank, Ronak picked up a small stick and lightly touched the sadhu with its pointed end. Suddenly, the sadhu's eyes snapped open, and he stared directly at Ronak. "You have finally arrived." Ronak expected the sadhu to be angry, but instead, the sadhu smiled and said, "You have finally arrived. I was waiting for you." Ronak felt a chill down his spine. He hesitantly asked, "Do you know me?" But the sadhu didn't respond. Instead, he removed a sacred bead necklace, mala, from his neck and placed it in Ronak's hand. "Wear this tonight while sleeping," the sadhu instructed. "Tomorrow, you will get all your answers." The terrifying dream and the black shadow. That night, Ronak put on the mala and went to sleep. But as soon as he closed his eyes, he started seeing horrifying dreams. He found himself standing in a dark forest, surrounded by giant trees engulfed in flames. The sky above him had turned blood red. Suddenly, a deep, echoing voice started calling his name. The voice got closer and closer, and then a dark shadowy figure with glowing red eyes appeared before him. Pointing its thin, bony finger at Ronak, the figure said, "You came to take me. Now it's time for you to come with me." Before Ronak could react, the shadow lunged at him and merged into his body. He woke up screaming, drenched in sweat, and noticed that the mala around his neck was burning hot. Terrified, he immediately removed it and threw it onto the floor. A series of unfortunate events. After that night, Ronak's family started experiencing misfortunes. 1. A short circuit caused a fire in his father's clothing shop. 2. His brother Amit was suddenly fired from his job. 3. His mother fell seriously ill for no apparent reason. One day, while cleaning his cupboard, Ronak's heart nearly stopped. Inside, he found the same mala he had thrown away days ago. When he asked his mother about it, she casually said, "I found it and kept it safely in the cupboard." Now, Ronak was convinced that all the bad luck was connected to the mala. Without a second thought, he threw it into the garbage bin. Come back to Sangam. That night, as Ronak was watching a show on his laptop, he suddenly felt someone standing behind him. When he turned around, no one was there. But as soon as he looked back at his screen, he saw the same dark figure with red eyes standing in the corner of his room. The shadow slowly walked toward him and whispered, "Come back to Sangam." Ronak screamed in terror and ran straight to Amit's room, panting. "Amit, that shadow is back. It's calling me to Sangam." Amit tried to calm him down and said, "It's just your imagination. I'll take you to the temple tomorrow. That will ease your fear." But Ronak was too scared to wait. Returning to the sadhu. The next morning, Ronak secretly took a bus to Prayagraj. That night, when the bus stopped for tea, he opened his bag to take out his wallet and froze in fear. The same mala was inside his bag. Ronak knew he had no choice but to find the sadhu again and get rid of the mala once and for all. As soon as he reached Mahakumbh, he ran straight to the sadhu's spot. Upon seeing him, Ronak fell at his feet and burst into tears. The sadhu, now angry, said, "Fool, why have you come back? You disturbed a holy man's meditation. Now you must suffer the consequences." But after a while, the sadhu took pity on Ronak. He removed the mala from Ronak's hands and wore it himself. The moment he did, Ronak felt an immense weight lifting off his chest. He looked up and saw the dark shadow hovering over the sadhu. Moments later, the shadow disappeared into the sadhu's body. That day, Ronak took another dip in the Sangam, realizing an important lesson: never disturb a meditating sage. When he returned home, he told his family everything, and gradually all their problems disappeared. This year, Ronak and his family are planning to visit Mahakumbh once again. How many of you know about Mahakumbh Mela? And do you plan on visiting it? Let us know in the comments section. The stranger in the closet. For a time, I lived mostly on the road, picking up house-sitting and dog-sitting gigs to make money. It was an easy way to earn while staying in some incredible homes. One of my assignments took me to Washington, where I was scheduled to house-sit for nearly a week. I arrived on a Thursday, met the homeowners, and got introduced to their golden retriever, Apple, an incredibly friendly and affectionate dog. Within an hour, the owners left for their vacation, and I was alone with Apple in their massive, secluded home, deep within a national forest. The house itself was breathtaking, easily worth $1 million, but its isolation was unnerving. There were no neighboring houses, no nearby streets, just endless trees surrounding the property. That first day, I explored the home, played with Apple, and settled in. Around 7 p.m., as the sun was setting, I took her for a walk down the long, winding driveway that led to the house. The area was peaceful, with nothing but dense woods on both sides. But as we reached the driveway on our way back, I saw him. A man was walking down the driveway toward me. He kept his head down and didn't acknowledge me as he passed. He looked to be in his 30s with short black hair and baggy jeans. It didn't make sense. This was private property. There were no other houses anywhere nearby. The only place he could have come from was the house itself. My heart pounded as I rushed Apple inside and locked the doors. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe he was just a hiker who got lost? Maybe he was just passing through? I hoped that was the case. That night, nothing else happened. I went to bed around 10 p.m., pushing the incident to the back of my mind. The next day was uneventful. I spent most of it inside, watching movies and playing with Apple. As night fell, I decided to enjoy the house's upstairs balcony, a cozy spot with a fire pit and lounge chairs. I lit the fire and sat under the stars, enjoying the silence. Apple stayed outside with me for a while but eventually went back inside to sleep. About 30 minutes later, just past 11:30 p.m., the silence shattered. Apple started barking loudly, frantically. Her sudden aggression startled me. She was such a gentle dog. It wasn't like her to bark like that. Heart pounding, I ran inside, following the sound to an open spare bedroom door. Apple was in the room, tail tucked between her legs, staring at one side of the room, barking wildly. I called her name, but she didn't even glance at me. Something had her terrified. I stepped into the room, following her gaze toward a slightly open closet door. Something wasn't right. I crept forward, gripping the doorknob, and slowly pushed the door open. Pitch black inside. A walk-in closet, filled with rows of hanging clothes. My eyes darted between them. The space looked empty until I noticed it. A small gap between the hanging clothes. A single eye staring back at me, watching. For a moment, I couldn't move. Then the clothes rustled. Someone was in there. Panic shot through me like electricity. I slammed the closet door shut, grabbed Apple's collar, and bolted down the stairs. I didn't stop. I didn't look back. I ran straight to my car, threw Apple into the passenger seat, and sped down the driveway with shaking hands. Once I was far enough away, I called 911. When the police arrived, they searched the house. They found no one. Whoever it was had escaped. I told them about the man I saw the day before, but I couldn't confirm if it was the same person. The officers believed that he had been watching the house, waiting for the owners to leave, thinking it would be empty. What he planned to do inside that closet, I don't want to think about. But here's what haunts me most. I don't believe he broke in without knowing I was there. I think he knew, and he was waiting. If Apple hadn't barked, if I hadn't gone to check that room, I might have gone to sleep with him still in the house.